So we must we do? Come closer. Remember where we stopped? Must we start from completely? Okay, read Bismillah. We done the explanation of that, eh? Right, okay, read the next. Bismillah. Come closer.
وعن ابن شهاب عن انس رضي الله تعالى عنه قال كان ابو بكر يحدث ان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال ولد عني شق بيتي في نفسك فنزل جبرائيل خرج الصدر ثم غسله بماء زمزم.
Okay. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala Rasulil Kareem. I told you we're still doing the chapter of the Mi'raj. And I told you there are several ahadith that we are doing. The first hadith is the main hadith, it debates the basis of this. Then the Sahibi Mishkaat brought many hadith after it as well. And I told you what was the reason for bringing more hadith after it. The purpose of bringing the other hadith is because the other hadith also have some information. They have some information that is not in the first hadith. That was the benefit. Like if you look at the hadith we're going to do today, there's a bit of extra information that I alluded to. And what could be the reasons for certain bits of information contained in certain hadith and other hadith don't have that information? I told you maybe sometimes the Rawi, the Ruwad, they forgot. Or maybe when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was narrating it at one occasion, he gave that information. On another occasion, maybe he didn't deem it relevant, so he never gave that information. Anyway, here goes. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wa an ibn Shihabin an Anasin, narrating the authority of Shihab al-Zuhri, it's a tabi'i, and he in turn narrates from his Anas. قال كان أبو ذر, it had Abu Dhar, يحدث, he narrates أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, that Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم says, فرج عني سقف بيتي, it was opened, you can say in this context, for me, the roof of my house. وأنا بمكة, whilst I was still in Mecca, right? فنزل جبريل, as Jibreel came down, right? ففرج صدري, he cut open my chest. ثم غسله بماء زمزم, and he washed it, he cleansed it with the water of Zamzam. Carry on. Right. ثم جاء بطست من ذهب, right? ممتلئ. What you got there? ممتلئ with Hamza. Right, perfect. ممتلئ حكمة وإيمانا. Then Nabi Jibreel washed it, يعني my heart with Zamzam. And then see this, جاء بطست من ذهب ممتلئ. So B is jar there, and that becomes a mawstuf. And mumtarin becomes the sifat of tast, right? So then he brought a utensil from gold, made of gold, which was filled hikmatan wa imanan, with wisdom and iman. It makes me think about that verse. وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ. Allah Ta'ala speaks about the mandate of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that you have to teach them the book, يُعَلِّمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ, and you must teach them wisdom as well. So this is the wisdom. Ulama explain, they say that the wisdom here refers to one is وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ. The kitab is obviously the Quran. And what is hikmah? Hikmah, the wisdom, is the hadith, the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's your proof for the sunnah. So, right, so this, so he's saying, ثم جاء بطس من ذهب ممتلئ حكمة وإيمانا. So he came with this utensil that had iman in it, abstract thing given a physical form, and wisdom. Carry on. Right. فأفرغه في صدري. Then he poured it. Thus my heart was filled with iman. My heart was filled with wisdom, right? Right. ثم طبق أطبقه, then he closed it up again.
ثم أخذ بيدي فخرج بي
Right. ثم أخذ بيدي, then he took me by the hand. فعرج بي إلى السماء. I was made to travel up to the skies.
فلما جئت السماء الدنيا
Right. فلما جئت إلى السماء الدنيا, then when I came to the sky of the dunya, in other words, what do you mean by the sky of the dunya? The sky that is closest to the dunya, right?
قال إبراهيم خازن السماء
Right. So, so Jibreel said, Khazana, the keeper, the gatekeeper, the person that's in charge. The Khazin is Sama'i, for the person in charge of the skies. Allah Ta'ala has his angels that take care of various different tasks for him. So the one that is in charge of the skies, he said to him, Iftah, open, right?
قال من هذا قال إبراهيم
So he said, who is this here? قال هذا جبرائيل. Yeah, by your door you got Jibreel alayhi salam.
قال هل معك أحد
Is there anybody, هل معك أحد, anybody with you? Yes, نعم معي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. That Muhammad sallam is with me.
أرسل إليه قال نعم
Right. So, did he come out of his own? Or has he got a mandate? Has he got permission to come? Right?
قال نعم
Said yes. Said yes, definitely.
فلما فتح لون السماء
You got futiha, falamma futiha, okay. When if you say futiha, when the door was opened, or falamma fataha, when he opened the door, alawna sama dunya, we ascended the sky of the dunya, right? That is, we went beyond that. We entered now the first heaven, right?
رجل خير على يمينه
Right. So interesting. I told you this hadith got some more information. So إذا رجل, then there was a person قائد على يمين, right? قائد, he was sitting, relaxing, right? على يمينه أسودة وعلى يساره أسودة. On his right, أسودة was like, you can say, a mass of blackness, like little ants, so to say, right? We'll give you more explanation of this when we look at the Shara, right? Right? وعلى يساره أسودة, and on his left was also this a mass of black, you can say, dot ants, right?
على يمينه ضحك إذا نظر في حاله
Right. So, interesting stuff. إذا نظر قبل يمينه ضحك. When he looked to the direction of his right, ضحك, he would laugh. وإذا نظر قبل شماله. When he would look to his left, right, then بكى, he would cry. Carry on.
مر النبي الصالح ابن الصالح
Right. So this person said, مرحبا بالنبي الصالح والابن الصالح. Welcome to the pious prophet and the pious son.
قلت إبراهيم من هذا
So I said to Jibreel alayhi salam, Man hadha? Who is this person here that has welcomed me? And he's, got these masses of black little, so to say, ants on my right, on his right and his left, etc. He said,
هذا آدم
Hada Adamu. This is Adam alayhi salam. In other words, your forefather, right? Carry on.
وهذه سيرة يمينه
Yeah, وهذا أيامينه إدغام, ne?
وعليه أسد البحر
Right. وهذه الأسودة أيامينه وعن شماله نسم بنيه. That this black spots on his right and this black spots on his left, nasamu banihi. You can say the souls of his children. Carry on.
اليمين بين
Right. فأهل اليمين منهم أهل الجنة. As for the people of the right, from amongst them are the people of Jannah.
الأسودة التي عن شماله في النار
Right. وأسودة التي أنش. And the black forms, the ones that is on his left, أهل الجنة. Right. Sorry, أهل النار are the people of the fire. So all of those that are on the right they are destined to go to Jannah. All of those that are left, they are destined to go to Jahannam, right? Right. فَإِذَا نَظَرَ أَنْ يَمِينِهِ ضَحِكَ. So when he looks to his right, he's happy because these are from his progenies that's going to go to Jannah. Right? وَإِذَا نَظَرَ قِبَلَ شِمَالِهِ. And when he looks to his left, then he starts crying. Okay, carry on. Okay, I got here. حتى أرج بي إلى السماء, until it was taken with me إلى السماء الثانية, to the second heaven, right? Right. فقال لخازنها, it was said to the gatekeeper, افتح, open, right? فقال له خازنه مثل ما قال الأول. So the gatekeeper said, فقال, right, like that which the first one said, like, has he come out of his own, or is he be sent for, whatever, right? So now the hadith goes concise, right? قال أنس, Anas says, فذكر, right, قال أنس, that Nabi Sallallahu mentioned أنه وجد في السماوات آدم, that he found in the skies Adam alayhi salam, wa Idris alayhi salam, Musa alayhi salam, Isa alayhi salam, Ibrahim alayhi salam, right? ولم يثبت كيف منازلهم غير أنه ذكر أنه وجد آدم في السماء الدنيا. So he's saying that in this riwayat, he didn't say like on the first heaven was Adam alayhi salam, on the second heaven was uh, the different was it Isa and Yahya. He just mentioned that he met them without giving the details, right here. ولم يثبت كيف منازلهم غير أنه ذكر, he mentioned أنه وجد آدم في السماء الدنيا وإبراهيم في السماء السادسة, and he mentioned Ibrahim on the sixth heaven, right? قال ابن شهاب, Ibn Shihab says, right, carry on. Right. So Ibn Shihab is saying, فأخبرني ابن حزم, then Ibn Hazm narrates, أن right, أن ابن Abbas, right, that Ibn Abbas وأبا حية الأنصارية. So now he's switching to a different riwayat. Understood now? Now he's quoting now from Ibn Hazm, from Ibn Abbas, and Aba Habbat al-Ansari. He says, كان, both used to narrate this narration. Right, what is to carry on? So this is how they write it. So we're going to a different narration now. So ثم أرج بي حتى ظهرت لمستوى. Then I was made to ascend until I came to a level, right? Carry on. Right. أسمع فيه صريف الأقلام. Sometimes, somebody's writing something, or you hear the sound of the writing. So he's saying here, we went to a certain level in the skies until I could hear the writing, the movement, the scratching of a pen, right? Carry on. So Nabi Sallallahu here is making a reference to the fact that he saw the place the pen that was writing the taqdeer, it was writing the maqadir, right? So Ibn Hazm and right, قال Ibn Hazm and Anas says, they are both narrating this from Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ففرض الله على أمتي 50 صلاة. So now he's moving to another thing. He's speaking about the whole episode of how salat became faraz, etc. Right? Right. So then he gives us that same incident, right? فرجعت بذلك, then I was returning back to the dunya حتى مررت على موسى, and I passed by Musa عليه السلام, right? So he said, فقال ما فرض الله على أمتك, what did Allah Ta'ala make faraz upon your ummah, right? Right. So he said he made 50 salat. قلت فرض 50 صلاة, right? Right. So he said, go back to your Rabb, فَفَرِّجْ الْعَرْبِ فَإِنَّ أُمَّتَكَ لَا تُطِيقُ. The similar to the other riwayat that we had, Let's go back. Your ummah will not manage this, right? Right. So, فرجعني, he sent me back. يعني Musa alayhi salam sent me back to Allah, right? فوضع شطره, and as a result of that, he waved off, he discounted a portion, right? Right. فرجعت, then I went to Musa again. Then I told him, right? فقلت, I said to Musa alayhi salam, Allah Ta'ala has فوضع شطره, discounted a portion of it, right? Yeah, I said, you know what? This is not good enough. راجع ربك, go back to your Rabb, right? Yeah, I think your ummah won't even manage that amount. So a certain hadith speak about the details that 555, right, was discounted at the time, right? فرجعت, right? So لا تطيع ذلك فرجعت, right? So I returned to him, right? You got فرجعت and فراجعت, you got like that. So فإن أمتك لا تطيق ذلك, your ummah will not manage that, right? Then فرجعت, I went back, right? فرجعت, when then فوضع, فراجعت means like he told me to go, then I went. فوضع شطره, so فرجعت, I went. So this فرجعت, yeah, means that he sent me back. You know, it's like how you say, it comes on the tafkir scale of أفعل يفعل scale. فرجعت يعني موسى, I went back because Musa عليه السلام told me to go back. And so فرجعت يعني رجعت إلى الله, because why? لأن موسى راجعني, right? فوضع شطره, then Allah Ta'ala discounted another portion. فرجعت إليه, then I returned to Musa alayhi salam. Carry on. He said, nope, not good enough. ارجع إلى ربك, go back to your Rabb, right? فإن أمتك لا تطيق ذلك, your ummah won't manage that, right? Then I went back to Allah Ta'ala, right? فقال هي خمس, right? وهي خمسون. He said, okay, it will be 5, but at the same time, it is 50. That is, it will be physically 5 salah, but you will get the reward of 50 salah. Why? Yeah, because لا يبدل القول لدي, the statement is not changed in front of me. What does it mean like this? Look here, already I decree that you must get 50 rewards, right? The reward of 50. So even though now I change it to 5, but still the promise of that reward will still be there, right? Right, right. فرجعت إلى موسى, I went to Musa, فقال راجع ربك, go back to your Rabb, right? I said, فقلت استحيت من ربي, now I'm shy. I can't ask, I feel shy to ask. I've asked, right? Yeah. ثم انطلق بي حتى انتهى بي إلى سدرة المنتهى. Then it was taken with me, right? Right? It was taken with me. حتى انتهى, until he reached, he took me to إلى سدرة المنتهى. We went to سدرة المنتهى. This was the furthest point. Remember we discussed this. Carry on. Yeah. So Waghashia, I told you, the other hadith also made reference to this. When I came to the Sidrat Muntaha, something enveloped it, something covered it. It was exceptionally beautiful. Yes, it's Waghashia al-Wanun, different colors. Maybe like you can say like a light show or a laser show, something like that, right? I don't know, La Adrim, I don't know what was it, right? Right. So ثم أدخل, then I was taken into Jannat and I was shown Jannat. Right. فإذا فيها جنابذ Janabithul lu'lu'i. And then in Jannat, they were, right, beautiful. There was, Janabis means like, you can say, domes, domes of pearls, right? Janabis of pearls, right? وَإِذَا تُرَابُهَا الْمِسْكُ, and its sand was musk. متفق عليه is a متفق عليه riwayat. Remember, we done in detail the description of Jannat with Babu Sifatil Jannati. We done that before, right? Okay, so like I mentioned to you, this hadith got some extra meaning or some extra information that the other hadith did not have. The first thing I did allude to this, I told you, if you look, certain riwayats speak about Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam being in his house. Certain riwayats speak about him being in the Hatim. And remember, I told you that the Muslims were boycotted, they were ostracized, and they were Shia Abi Talib. It was a valley. Now, if you go today, if you go today to Makkah, inshallah, you'll see there's in the Haram, or not in the Haram, or maybe just outside the Haram, there's a marbled area. And today, I think there's toilets built there. And it's mentioned there uh, that this is in the time of Nabi Sallallahu, this is where Sha'mi Abi Talib was, right? But anyway, so certainly I suggest he was there, right? So where was Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam exactly when Jibreel Amin came to take him? So ulama make intibaqat. What intibaqat means? They uh, create a congruency between all the riwayah. They say, yeah, this certain riwayah. They also say there are certain riwayah that suggest that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was in the house of Hani, right? So how we understand all this riwayat, we put them together. We say that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was in the house of Hani, and this house of Hani was in the close proximity of Sha'bi Abi Talib. So he was taken. So when he says Saqfi, my house, you mean the house that I was in. Doesn't mean like sometimes you living in a house, you're renting the house, right? It doesn't physically belong to you, but you say this is my house, right? So the house that he was in at that point in time, are you with me? So he was taken from there, the house of Hani, which was in the proximity of Sha'bi Abi Talib, and then he was taken to the Hatim, and then there, according to the riwayat there by the Hatim, that is where uh, the water of Zamzam is. His heart was split open, and this is where his heart was washed and cleansed. So interesting. They say here in the kitab, we say there's a today there's a door called Babu Shamiya. What is it called? Babu Shamiya, right? And here the Sharif mentions something interesting. He says, that the Haramain Sharifin was under the control of the Dawlat Ismaniya. I mentioned to you several times. So this place here, if you enter from Babu Shamia, you will come to this place. This is where the platform of the Muazzin of Babu Shamia. Sorry, so the place where the Azan would be called out in the time of the Ottomans. So, sorry, I just mentioned it wrong. But what I'm saying is that he was taken to the Hatim where his heart was washed with Zamzam. And from here, he was taken to Babu Shamia. He was taken to Babu Shamia. And this place of Babu Shamia, where the door is still today, right? This is where the platform for the Muazzin of the Ottoman Empire was. And this is where the Barak was waiting for him. And from here, he went to Masjid al-Aqsa. Now, here, the Sharif is mentioning something interesting. He said today, the same place where the platform for the Adhan was, the Turks, when they in the marble, they put here leaves of a certain tree, an acacia tree, to show that this is the place where Burak was. Now, this is on a side note. I just want to tell you something. If you know that there are many. If you look at Masjid al-Nabawi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you look at the Haram, there are many signs there in the tiles, in the pillars of important points. We don't know, like you walk in the Haram, you walk in Masjid al-Nabawi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you just see the pillar there, you see the tile there, you think it's just like an ordinary spot, but there are certain people that actually do the tours. There are certain books. Like I told you here now, this place exactly where Nabi Sallallahu the Burak was, it is marked with the in the tiles, maybe in the mosaic. There's a picture of acacia leaves there. You know what I'm saying? So like this, you remember the Dawlat Uthmaniya, the Ottomans, they were very respectful of Nabi Sallallahu. There are many stories you must have come across them, like when they were constructing, they do the construction out of Medina is not to disturb Nabi Sallallahu, because remember we believe Nabi Sallallahu is alive in his grave, etc. So all these type of signs, right? All these what you say Maqam Muqaddasa is actually marked with pillars. It is marked with signs, inlays in the tiles, etc., etc. And there's certain ulama that actually knows they can go, they can take you and show you this is where the Burak was, this is etc., etc. So just remember that. There's also something interesting. But anyway, the main thing we want to tell you there that there's an intibaq was that he was in the house of Hani in Sha'd ibn Talib, and from there he went to the Hatim. So like that, you have intibaq between all the outwardly differing riwayat. Are you with me? This word aswidatun, see, when we just obviously the broader part of the hadith, we've understood, we've done that, we've covered it. We're just going to cover the new aspects that is mentioned in the hadith, right? That Adam alayhi salam on the first heaven, he had on his right time this aswida, and on the left was some aswida. So aswida is a jama of sawadun. So sawad means like something black. That's why even in Arabic, when you speak about a big crowd, you speak about sawad, because from far, like a big crowd just appears like a large black mass. Are you with me? So here, sawad, like a black form, comes in the meaning of like a human being or like his nafs, etc., whatever it is. And aswida is the plural, right? So they're like black forms, which I told you probably that's referred to the nafs, obviously. So it could be, it couldn't be, maybe it's not that they were physically there, but it was just misal. Remember, we discussed this with you several times. Alam e misal. Alam e misal means a representation of things. Like how we told you also, remember, we told you, we mentioned this here, that Nabi Sallallahu mentioned matters of Adam alayhi salam, all the different Anbiya in the heavens, that obviously their bodies are still in their graves. So this was a representation of them. Doesn't mean they were physically there. Yeah, you understood that. So same thing. We believe that the souls of the people in the alam arwah, etc. So this was just a representation, an abstract concept. And then obviously those on the right were the ones that were successful. Allah Ta'ala make us from amongst them that would go to Jannah, and the ones on the left. So after all, Adam alayhi salam was the father of all these. So it would grieve him, it would pain him to see that some of his progeny is going to Jahannam, right? So I was telling you that in Fa'urija bi, so the first part of the journey was from the Haram of Makkah and then to Masjid, from Masjid Haram to Masjid Aqsa. And we told you there was like a escalator, something that took Nabi Sallam up. So, so when he came to the first heaven, that he asked, "Who's this? Has he been sent for, etc." So from this, you learn that the skies are heavily guarded. It's not that anybody can go in, out, etc. And also, you learn that the skies is just not like what we think. When we look, we see open space. but they are doors, etc. It could be beyond what we see with our telescopes, beyond what we see with our satellites, etc. And there's a whole nizam, there's a whole system there. So here, it's, the Shareef here, he goes into a deep discussion about, whether man has already reached the moon or not. And he's speaking about that because even if we say whether man reached the moon or not, that is questionable. They say if man reached the moon so many years ago, from then till now, how come he never reached the moon again? Obviously, if day by day technology advances, isn't it? Day by day. So if something they could accomplish 30 years ago, why can't they accomplish it now? You understand what I'm saying? It's supposed to get easier with time. So that time there was what they call the Cold War. There was Russia was also a superpower, so they need to show their power. To show their advancement. So it was a hoax. It was a hoax. But anyway, we won't go into that too much. So whether man reached the moon or not, it doesn't affect, even if they reach the moon. If we say that this nizam of Allah Ta'ala about the heavens being heavily guarded, it could be beyond it. Say it is conclusively proven man did reach the moon. So somebody say, yeah, but according to the hadith, the heavens are heavily guarded. Answer we give there is we say that look, uh, first it's questionable if the man did reach the moon, right? And even if he did reach the moon, even if he did reach the moon, we'll say that this of the heavens being secured, etc., is way beyond that. It is way beyond that, right? So I see you get into a deep discussion there, but we won't worry about that too much. So everything else is pretty self-explanatory. Okay, that's zahartu, allowed to, right? And this mustawan is istawa, yes, there is. Zahartu alawna ila limustawin, there is it, ne? You see, hatta zahartu limustawan, ne? That zahartu limustawan. So that is istawa from sawa. Sin, wow, ya. Right? Sin, wow, ya. Istawa. Mustawan also means like a level. That's why you can say, like, if you go into a multi-level building, you can say, Uridu al-mustawa al-awwal, Uridu al-mustawa sani. I want to go to the first level. I want to go to the second level, right? Then li is jar, li mustawan, right? And why is it mustawan? It is munsarif because remember we told you, look at me 1 second. Remember we tell you that alife maksura will be a lamat ta'nis if it is besides three root letters. Remember? And here you got sin, wow. So the ya is part of the root letters. So it is not alamat ta'nis. Ismail, you with me? So you say, why is it limustawan? It's supposed to be limustawa. You understood? But remember, alif mabnuda and alif maksura are signs of femininity. Alamat ta'anis when it is besides the three root letters. You understood? So it is part of the three root letters. That's why it's not alamat ta'anis. That's why you say limustawan, not let's say limustawa. Fahimtuma. You understood that, you sure? So if I ask you why is you see sa wa ya. So that sa wa ya, right? Limustawan. Sa wa ya. So that's part of the right. So it's a ismul maf'ul siha, right? Then remember we done a little Sarif al-Aqlami. We done a little bit of this before. We done the chapter of Taqdeer in the beginning of the year. That Allah Ta'ala created the lawh, and then He created the pen, and He told the pen to write. And He said, Mada aktub, uktub maqadir al-khalaiq. Remember, Ismail? You learn Wazir. Write the decree of the. So this was Sarif al-Aqlami.
You write it, Ibrahim. Allahumma firli.
So here he's saying that if the pens wrote the Taqdeer many years ago, what is so you say, yeah, maybe they're just making, they are dictating, rewriting it, but really, in actual fact, Allah Ta'ala knows best, right? Then Jambadun, I tell you, Janabid means like in Urdu, it's a gumbad. It means a dome, right? So it's domes of pearls. Okay, read the next riwayat. Okay, so that covers more or less everything we're discussing here. اوكي بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وعن عبد الله قال لما أسري برسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم انتهي بي إلى سدرة المنتهى. Narrating the authority of Abdullah said, when it was made to travel with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, untuhiya bihi, he was brought to the Sidratul Muntaha. وهي في السماء السادسة. I tell you, certain riwayat shows it's in the sixth heaven, and certain riwayat shows it in the seventh heaven, but we'll discuss this now, right? He said, he right, إليها ينتهي ما يؤج به من الأرض. By it ends whatever comes up from the earth. I told you before that if you look at Sidrat Munta is the end point. Whatever is on this side of it cannot go beyond it. Whatever on that side cannot come beyond it this way, right? فيقبض منها, it is stopped, right? So وإليها ينتهي ما يهبط به من فوقها. And by it ends whatever comes down to it from what is above it. So from above, whatever comes stops there. And from below, whatever is going up stops, right? فيقبض ما, it is stopped there at that point. So it's called إذ يغشى السدرة ما يغشى. When it covered it, what covered it? Yeah, this is also from إذ يغشى السدرة ما يغشى. So when the Nabi Sallallahu was there, something covered the Sidra, the Muntaha. قال فراش من ذهب. He said, butterflies of gold. فأعطي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ثلاثا. Nabi Sallallahu was given three things. أعطي الصلوات الخمسة. He was just when he, remember, you have to put all the riwayat together to come, to understand what's happening. أوحى إلى ربك ما أوحى. So أعطي الصلوات الخمسة, he was given the five salawat. وأعطي خواتيم سورة البقرة, and he was given the end of the Surah Baqarah, subhanallah, right? وغفر لمن لا يشرك بالله من أمته شيئا, and he was also given the gift that that whoever doesn't commit shirk, that as long as we discussed this in detail in the beginning, that we the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we believe, so long as you got Iman, right? And no matter how much sins you commit, worst case scenario is what? You'll have to pay time in Jahannam, but eventually you will enter Jannah. So in other words, your sins will, no, irrespective of, so long as you got the right belief, that's critical. You believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as being one, and you believe in the Prophet, etc., etc. You believe Nabi Sallallahu is the final Prophet. Then no matter what sins you got, no matter what sins you got against your name, a time, as I said, worst case scenarios, you will come out of Jahannam at one stage or the other. Yes, you can even be forgiven. Allah Ta'ala can forgive you through His mercy. Allah Ta'ala can, through the intercession, if you kept good company with the pious people, with the ulama, etc., with the sulaha, with the fuqaha, they can intercede on your behalf, right? So long as you've got the iman, then there is hope that you will be forgiven. And I tell you, it's several forms. Either that after giving your time in Jahannam, or either getting intercession. That is saying, وَغُفِرَ لمن لا يشرك بالله من أمته شيئا, and it will be forgiven, right? Right? It will be forgiven for the who does not commit shirk in Allah Ta'ala from his ummah, anybody. Al-Muqhimat means those people who, even though they commit, so So وغفر المقحمات, right? What is that? Is the knife file of غفر. You understood it? The muqhimat means those people who commit big sins. Or you can say muqhimat means the big sins will be forgiven as long as a person does not commit shirk, right? So um, I told you before, there's one riwayat that suggests that the Sidrat Muntaha is on the seventh heaven, right? Have you got the right page here? Somebody's asking about the page. Right. There are certain riwayat that suggest that the Sidrat Muntaha is on the seventh heaven. And here this riwayat is saying it's on the sixth heaven. So easy intibak, I told you that instead of just saying this riwayat is wrong or this riwayat is right, the best is you make intibakat. We say that the roots, remember we told you it's a large, absolutely beautiful tree. And even when Nabi Sallallahu came there, فَغَشِيَ مَا غَشِيَ فَغَشِيَ مَا غَشِيَ, it was even more beautiful. It was like, so to say, a show for Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So we say the roots maybe starts or the bottom of it starts in the second heaven, and the beautiful fruit and the leaves itself, it shows it manifests itself on the seventh heaven. Are you with me? Farash, this also comes from the Quran. Kal farashil mabathuth, right? What the surah al-Qari aneh. So beautiful butterflies of gold from the other riwayat. So certain riwayat suggests that uh, the Jaliyat and the Anwara, the special spiritual effulgence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was on that. So so we in this hadith here, there's three gifts. One is the salawat. We spoke about this in detail in our yesterday or the day before, that how we say mercy, that arihni, we discussed that that we won't do that again. The next thing is this here, Surah Al-Baqarah, the last few verses. This is all definitely a gift. It is a great protection. Ulama explain, that's why they say like before you sleep at night time to recite this, it's a great bit of protection. And also, ulama explain as a amal, not as proven from the sunnah, when you recite this, you can take your finger and you draw imaginary line or whichever place you want to protect. This is from the mujarrab amal. So that's great virtue. And then the last one, that there's hope no matter what concerns you come. We all kullu bani adam khata'un wa khayrul khata'in at-tawwabun. That as long as you do not make shirk, your big sins. So wa ghufira liman la yushriku billahi min ummati shay'an, right? Al-muqhimatu. So it will be forgiven. Al-muqhimat means refer to the big sins for that person who does not commit, it does not ascribe with Allah Ta'ala from my ummah anything. So shay'an here is the maf'ul of yushriku, ashraka, yushriku. So long as you not commit shirk, not ascribe anything to Allah Ta'ala, then you can be forgiven, right? You can go straight to Jannah even through the mercy of Allah Ta'ala. Worst case scenario, you'll have to give some time. Okay, we stop there, inshallah. Now I have to switch over to the tafsir.